currently procrastinating going into the gym because it's super cold. And I'm waiting for my pre-workout to kick in. So as per usual, while I'm doing that, I'm going to do a live stream for you guys and see what's going on with you guys. So anyway, let's talk about the topic today. Why do cops hate bikers so much? And I'm sure a lot of you have answers. You can put them in the comments, what you think, why you think it is. Just write in the comment section, tell me exactly why you think it is. Now, also, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe to the channel. And that'll give you the opportunity to see more videos of mine. I try to do at least 1 to 2 live streams per week. And talk about different things as opposed to motorcycles and motorcycle clubs. And just life and relationships in general, stuff, things like that, if they pertain to the biker world. Because there's actually a pretty good bit of guys that talk about motorcycle clubs, but maybe not so much at the angle that I'm going at it with. And because I'd like to also do videos about like relationships inside clubs and friendships inside clubs, and also like maybe old ladies inside clubs or something like that. You know what I mean? Like different things like that. And as it pertains to the club, because a lot of people have questions when it comes to that, and everybody will give you different answers. And what you have to understand is when it comes to relationships and things in clubs, every club is different. Like I was having a conversation yesterday with a couple guys, and it was like, you might have a club that has 3 or 4 chapters, and let me send this real quick. You might have a club that has several different chapters, but every chapter is run differently. And so that'll change some things too, because that president and members might be different than another president and members, and everybody's got different personalities. And when you have clubs with different personalities clashing or vibing together, then that's going to change a few things. So that's something to take in perspective too. But today we're going to be talking about motorcycles. Is that guy got leggings on? I think, oh boy, has leggings on with combat boots. High top combat boots, tied military style. Leggings with a hoodie. Interesting. Like those are tight. Those are like those. Pretty much, I consider those leggings. Those were tight, like a tiger. Anyway, so you tell me, guys, why do cops hate bikers so much? Well, I think a lot of it has to do with they don't understand the culture, and they don't want to understand the culture. They see, I think sometimes when you put a uniform on, your personality changes, and also you're doing a job. And when you're on a job, your personality is different too. And you see everything from the outside in, and everybody's an outsider but you. And it also gets to the point where like you're almost playing a gotcha game. Like you're like, how many guys can I get today? Like how many people can I? And you guys will say, no, not everybody's like that. There are cops like that. There are cops like that will like to chase people, that like to, jump on people, that like to arrest as many people as possible because I think it's fun. That's a whole different topic. I'm not saying they're all like that. I'm saying there's a good bit of them that are. And so when you see a biker and he's got a patch on, or you see like 10 bikers and they got patches on, you kind of, your body changes, the vibe changes a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, they tense up a little bit, they're like, oh, okay. And then you're kind of like, what are they doing? What are they doing riding around? What are they up to? And literally, it might be like Dave and Bob and Tony and Fred, and they're all out riding their Softails or their street glides with their wives on the back, and they're just going to Shoney's or something. You know what I mean? Like, it might be, they might be doing a charity ride for like some kids, or they might be a charity ride for like child abuse or something like that, and you're like tensed up like they're Sons of Anarchy or something. And it's pretty funny because, like, I've even hung out with some nationwide and worldwide clubs before, and while there's a couple of them that do have chips on their shoulders and they're tough guys and stuff, a lot of them are just regular dudes. And I'm like, this is what y'all are scared of? You're regular dudes. This is what y'all are scared of. But a lot of times they just don't understand the culture, and they don't want to understand the culture. It's easier to assume than it is to think. Like, people don't go into like the biology of the human brain, but your brain actually tries not to learn things. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, your brain understands the strain of growing new synapses and nerve endings and things in your brain and new connections. And it will try to stop you sometimes because that burns energy, you know, that puts a strain on the body. And sometimes that will, it'll make you not want to do that. And so then sometimes you'll try to avoid it. You'll try to avoid, you know, making connections. And I think sometimes that's where we get the assumptions that people are bad when they aren't, you know? And let's go ahead and let's go ahead and put them in timeout. Just so you know, if you say dumb things on here, you're probably going to get put on timeout. Are you into off-road? Yeah, I like off-road stuff. Who don't? Who's a white American male that don't like off-road? But anyway, I think that's sometimes where you get the guys the cops that just assume everybody's bad. And you get the guys that are in motorcycle clubs that assumes every cop is bad. And so that's, you know, you have those assumptions. Now, I do think that it's just two different worlds. And sometimes you have to understand that they don't know where you've been. They don't know the life of, thanks, man. Appreciate you doing that. I just put them in timeout too. Because you could block everybody, but you'd be blocking them all day long. So I just put them in timeout. And I think a lot of times it's bots. Like, I don't think they're real people. I think it's just bots just trying to, like, it's really somebody with like 30 phones and they're just running a bot system. That's what a lot of these social medias are. It's not real people. And it would surprise you, like, a lot of these accounts are not real people. And I think it's funny whenever I'm getting sidetracked now, but I think it's funny whenever the X app decided to started posting like people's country of origin, and then you started figuring out a lot of these people were just bots from like Pakistan and India and places like that. And so anyway, but I think if a lot of law enforcement officers, and I like to say law enforcement officers instead of cops a lot of times, because that's what they're there for. They're there to enforce the laws. They're not your friend. That's something that people need to remember sometimes. Like, it's law enforcement. This girl has no jacket on, and she's in bicycle shorts, and she is just like sprinting to her car because it's so cold. Dummy. Anyway, but they're there to enforce the law. They're not your friend. And that's something you need to remember. So maybe sometimes, like, if you're ever getting pulled over, like I saw a video on this earlier, if you're ever pulled over by police officers and stuff, less is more. Like, you don't have to go into, I got an aunt with cancer and I got 3 kids and I do this and do that and I play bingo on Wednesdays and you don't have to go into your life story. Less is more. Like, literally, you would be better off when you get pulled over, especially if you're a motorcyclist. If you got pulled over, just hand them your license, registration, and just sat there. And then if he was like, well, where are you headed? I'd rather not say. Okay. And then they'll try to get something out of you. I'd rather not answer any questions that don't pertain to the stop. And just be like that, because you're just going to be better off sometimes in situations. They don't care about what kind of motorcycle you have. They don't care about your helmet. They're just trying to get you to talk. And sometimes we'd be better off in situations if, like they were saying in the earlier video, if you just don't say anything. And I believe that. I do believe that's true, because looking back at some of my stops, now I find it funny that I start getting pulled over less when I started riding a motorcycle. That was odd. That was kind of odd. Like, if I rode on the interstate in my little A to B car that I do for work, I might get pulled over. But if I'm riding my motorcycle, it's almost like the people where I live, in the state that I live in, it's almost like they avoid pulling over a guy on a motorcycle. Like a sport bike, they'll probably pull you over, but it's almost like they avoid pulling over people on motorcycles. I guess they're just assuming that I'm not speeding because I'm on a Harley and I'm probably doing like 85. And they're like, nah. You know what I mean? Nah. They're looking for that sport bike that's doing like 185. But that's a whole different subject. I think if you're a police officer and you see somebody going that fast, you should just let them go. But that's just my philosophy. But if somebody's doing 185, why are you trying to chase them in the first place? It's like that movie Gone in 60 Seconds. Like, he was like, this is a Daystar, sir, not an Apache. But I don't even think an Apache could go that fast. But anyway, but that's something you got to understand when you're riding motorcycles, though, is you still need to be, you need to have precautions and everything. Less is more. Don't give them your life story. Don't give them information they didn't ask for. And even if they ask for information, you ain't got to give it to them. Like, you don't have to give them information that doesn't pertain to the stop. And I like this other guy that I saw the other day. If I find him, I'll put the link in the comments. But he's like a lawyer for people that ride motorcycles. And he's got a lot of good videos too, because he was talking about, even if you're in your car, and when it comes to like concealed carry and all that kind of stuff, what you're supposed to do and everything, and he's talking about how you don't hand your firearm to the police officer. You don't even touch it. You don't even touch it from where it's at. Nope, not touching it. And you just make him have to get it. And then, they're actually, it's pretty funny. They're actually not allowed to look your firearm up, because if it doesn't have to deal with a stop, like, they're not allowed to look your serial number up. I didn't know that, but that's something good to know. But when it comes to cops and motorcyclists, I think a lot of times it's a culture clash with somebody that's on a job that doesn't care about your culture. Like, he's working a job, he's trying to see if he can get a ticket or not, and he just doesn't care. He doesn't care about your 20 years of riding experience. He doesn't care about the brotherhood. He doesn't care about your family. He just cares about this stop. How can I get this dude on this stop? You know what I mean? And so you just have to protect yourself. That's what it comes down to. It is so surprising looking at how many people's going into the gym with no jackets on. I'm pretty sure it said that the low tonight's going to be 17. It's cold right now, and everybody's like, I got this big old fluffy jacket on. I ain't tripping. But I was riding yesterday. I was riding my bike yesterday with a couple of friends, and it's probably like 50s, 60s outside. Pretty good. Rode down to the lake, checked out the dock, went and got some cigars, went and got some bussin' beer nachos that were actually not nachos. They were waffle fries with chili and cheese on top and queso and mixed in there. That was some good stuff. We ended up all three ordering the same thing because I said something about it, and then they're like, I want that, I want that, I want that. And so we all three got the same thing. It was pretty easy. The women that were sitting next to us were so mad that we got our food fast, and I was like, we literally got nachos. And you could tell they were just like, but it's like, we got the easiest thing on the menu. Future bride got the shades on. Yep, got my shades on. I actually wear sunglasses a lot. That's what you'll figure out about me. If I'm outside, I got sunglasses on. My eyes are naturally pretty sensitive to the light, and so you can tell they're blue. So I even remember as a kid when I was playing football, I would complain about how bright it was out there when I had my helmet on and stuff. I wanted to be one of those cool kids with the shade, you know what I mean? But we were too poor for all that. But anyway, I think that a lot of times too that the police officers associate the clubs. Even if you're a small club, they associate your club as like a gang. That's what it comes down to. And people could say, well, if you look up the definition of a gang, motorcycle club's pretty close. Yeah, but I mean, if you look up the definition of a horse, a zebra is pretty close. You know what I mean? Like, okay. But that doesn't mean they are. And like when I see a group of guys riding, I don't assume they're in a club. And when I see a bunch of guys riding with patches on, I don't assume they're bad guys. Why can't everybody do that? And it's just they don't understand the culture. Cops don't understand the culture. Law enforcement doesn't understand the culture. And until people start getting out there and kind of showing that not everybody's like that, I think we're always going to have the misconception. But if you'll notice, some of my friends do videos with RP videos, and you might be saying, what's RP? Well, RP is red pill. It has to do with like gender dynamics and dating and things like that. And people will make misconceptions about that. Well, that's the same way with motorcycles. It's the same way with any kind of thing that's not mainstream. And once it does become mainstream, it gets watered down with people that just want to latch onto it for clout. So when it comes to motorcycles, it's almost a yin and yang, because you want people to know that motorcycle clubs are not gang members. But at the same time, you don't want everybody to be involved with it, because then it gets watered down. So it's like, maybe if you make videos like this, it will get the word out where people can find out about it. But you still want a little bit of gatekeeping, because you don't want just everybody and their sister being in a motorcycle club, because then it gets a little watered down and you get those bad people that you don't want in those clubs. And that's where then you get the bad name with clubs, because you'll see somebody, they'll be out on a motorcycle, they'll go into a bar or something, they'll cause a problem, then all bikers are bad. You know what I mean? And it's, well, if you're going to be like that, then the next time you see a guy going into a bar and he's on a pickup truck and he starts a fight, is all dudes in pickup trucks bad? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dudes. We got to be a little bit different when it comes to that kind of stuff. We got to be a little bit more open-minded. Like, if you put on that badge and you're so short-sighted that everybody's a bad guy to you, maybe you're not in the right profession. And I know that it's dangerous. People say, "Oh, what's dangerous? What if I pull somebody over and they shoot me or something?" Okay, I mean, I understand. But at the same time, what if they don't? What if it's just a dude riding his motorcycle? You know what I mean? And so that's something to think on. And people say, well, what about police officers in clubs? No. And just like in my group of guys, we have a rule, no police officers. And it's just because it's a totally different culture. Like, we don't want to have to deal with the issues that comes from the guy that used to be a police officer. Because to me, once a police officer, always a police officer. He's got connections with other police officers. There's always going to be an issue. Other clubs are going to ostracize you because you have a police officer in your club. They're going to get really pissed if you don't tell them you got a police officer in your club and then they find out. So it's really just too much to deal with. They'd rather just not. There's too many people out there that are good guys that want to ride motorcycles for us to deal with the one good guy that's a cop that wants to be in a motorcycle club. You know what I mean? It's too much of a hassle. It's not really worth it. If you want to do that, just join an LE club. If you want to be a police officer and be in a club, join an LE club. And just do it that way. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments, like, what do you think about police officers and bikers, and what do you think they act like they do around bikers? And what's your experience with police officers, and what's your experience with bikers? Because all of my experience was like 98% of my experience with bikers has been positive. Now, you'll get a couple of guys that are just a-holes, but I mean, that's just what, and still nothing came of it. They got mad. Nothing happened. But tell me, guys, what you think in the comments. Put a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, put a comment in the comment box, and give me some ideas for my next video. Like, let me know what you like or dislike, or ideas for the new video. I am going to do a video on, like, old ladies in a club. I'm going to do a video about relationships in clubs and how they pertain to real life relationships compared to motorcycle club life and things of that nature. So hit the like and subscribe buttons. See you guys later. Bye-bye.